Alright, not sure how good this thing's gonna sit here like this. I don't really have any way of holding my phone and doing this safely, but maybe this will give you an idea of what I've been trying to do. Since I don't have any help to push, and this truck in front of me does not run. I'm fixing to put a new engine amongst a lot of other things in it. Fuel injection, new wiring, you know, all that. So the reason I'm coming to this corner is because I've got the wheel turned sharp, and I'll show you in just a second. On my front bumper I have a very thick mat, so that when this thing begins to turn and slide, it doesn't scratch chrome. You see how gentle I was there? Anyway, let's show you what I'm talking about. See, that mat is really thick, rubberized, commercial. See how sharp the tires turn. I've got a bungee through the air vent on the other side holding the steering wheel so it doesn't spin around. And we're trying to get it up in the shop. I may have to make another swing at this. This may not be enough, but we'll see. If I can get the back tires across that threshold, I can make a couple more swings with this and actually push it up in here. So, and I got the little Blazer almost ready for sale. I need to pressure wash, 181,000 miles. The anti-lock brake light is on purpose. The anti-lock brakes on these trucks are dangerous. They literally take braking power away from the truck when they activate. So I intentionally disabled it. You can turn it back on with the computer, but I don't want it because I don't like it. I think it's dangerous. Anyway, little truck. I got the four-wheel drive fixed yesterday. Put a new transfer case motor on it, and works like a dream. Somebody will have a nice little pickup truck, a two-door Blazer, whenever gets sold here. Now we're gonna gently, don't want to bend bumpers, gently, very, very, very gently. If you hear any crunching, immediately stop. Just give it a little push. Yes, she is heavy. I definitely need a stand. Sorry about that, guys. So you can see what I'm doing here. And now I'm just going to use my little truck to follow this thing so I'm not sliding across that chrome too much. Alright, now one tire is in the garage. So I'm going to go look and see what I need to do to make that turn the rest of the way. I'm probably going to put that truck in park or chalk the tire so it can't roll back out. Reposition the steering wheel, let it roll out, and then turn my truck to face it the correct way. So that's the gist of what I'm doing. Once I get it in the shop, I'll show you that I got it in there, but you can see what I'm doing. So cool, huh? I think so. Okay, guys. Wasn't the easiest thing in the world, but there it is. She's in here. My little barely strong enough lift, but it does the job. I actually had to use a floor jack under the rear axle to swing it around enough, making that turn out there to get it around. They do make tire dollies, but I don't own any, so floor jack works. But there it is. I think this is a 77 Jeep. Customer's first name is Brandon. I won't give the rest because it's nobody else's business. And another restoration. We tried to talk him into doing a GM think it's called Drive and Cruise, 5.3, 6-speed transmission, the whole 9 yards. Wife wouldn't let him. Truck's a little rough, but you know, most of them are when you start on them, and if it's worth saving, it takes a lot of hard work. So anyway, this is the beginning. It's in the shop now that I can actually get a hold of it, and we'll make it run again. He actually decided to go with a 401 instead of the 360 that these normally come with. Same block, little difference in crank rods and pistons and cylinder heads and whatnot. A little more power, not a huge amount, but more torque, more horsepower, and move this beast around a little better. Yeah. So anyway, that's it. And this is not my shop, guys, so forgive the mess. This is me. This table full of parts and whatnot, but the rest of it's just a big mess, and it's not mine. So the fellow that's letting me use this garage is nice enough to let me use it for free, so I'm not complaining whatsoever. But it's tight, trying to work around other people's stuff to follow a dream of restoring cars, which honestly I've been doing since I was a kid, and used to just do it for fun. Now I'm trying to make a serious leap of faith and make a career out of it, and you know, got to follow your dreams. If you're not following your dreams, what's the purpose? If you're working a job you hate, that's not the way to live. So anyway, we're going to turn this old clunker that doesn't run, that smells like rat urine inside because of all the rainwater that's getting in it and carpet rotting and rust, and we're going to spit polish and shine her back up. Until next time. Alright, so we got I believe it was a 77. Look inside the door and see if that sticker is even readable anymore. And it is not. What do we got here? I'm not showing you the VIN number on purpose. Yep, it's not readable anymore. I'm pretty sure it's a 77. That's what I was told, or a 78. So, anywho, as you can see, it's not one of the 84 up styles. It's definitely the older version. Probably an aftermarket add under the dash. Air conditioning looks like. Could be factory, but I don't think so. I think they delivered these to the dealerships with the air conditioning unit right there, packed up, compressor, all that stuff in the back of the truck in a box. And the dealerships actually put those on, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong. I have been before, and that's okay. Live and learn. I would say that's probably 107,000. Maybe not. Yeah, definitely. So no battery hooked up at the moment. I'm sure none of this stuff works. This thing's been sitting for what looks like a long time. Rust hole in the floor already, very noticeable. Headliner peeling. Seats are obviously, you know, here you go, that's a better view. Needs a lot of work, but it's better than just sending it to the junkyard. There we go, big hole in the back here. Headliner is going to be redone, paint job. I think he even wanted a gear driven transfer case instead of the NPT new process. I think they're 225s that came in these. I'd have to look on the tag underneath. But as you can see, this is extremely rough. Brakes all the way around. Might even be doing a suspension lift. I'll update you when I find out. He's supposed to be sending me an email with everything. We discussed many different options, and they came to a conclusion. And I'm just here to do the work. First thing to do is to get the hood off, which needs to go directly to paint and body. Be blasted and redone. All the belts and hoses are going away, air conditioning lines, all that stuff rotten. You can see it's definitely seen better days. They've even used hose clamps up here instead of crimp connections, which that might actually be factory. I don't remember. Those barb connectors are pretty tough, so they're good, but I think these actually came with crimp connections from the factory, and somebody's just, grafted that on, which works, but it loses Freon every time. It doesn't give you a complete seal. Most of the guys back in the day didn't care. They just, put another can or two of Freon in it for the summer and drive it, and there you go. That's why the EPA got on everybody. Not a huge amount of rust on the outside. I haven't picked it up yet, so I don't know how much is underneath. Not a bad truck. Looks really rough, but most of this is surface rust from what I've seen, which is a lot easier to fix than holes, which there are a couple of those as well. Like I showed you the floor pan there. I know I put my finger through it earlier. Quarters, that kind of stuff, but for the most part, as old as this thing is, it's pretty straight. No big major dents. Nothing to speak of anyway. Some hail damage here and there, nothing major. I mean, even the hood's really, honestly, pretty good. There's some small stuff, but it's not that bad. So, there it is. We'll get to work. Alright, we're actually recording this time. I spent a few minutes talking. Didn't realize my camera was not running. At least not in record. Interesting. 1977. It says December of 76. Finally found the tag that was readable. So it's technically it was built in 76, but they probably released it as a 77. Because I believe the guy's title does say 77. Pretty sure that's what they told me. But check this out. How many 4-barrel Motorcraft carburetors, no joke, made by Motorcraft, right there, have you seen in years past? Some of you guys might be like, whatever, I've dealt with them a bunch, but for me, I have done close to 1,000 of these Jeeps, and that's the first one of these I have ever seen on one of these Jeeps. Most of these trucks come with that little 2-barrel Motorcraft right there, and they're good carburetors for a carburetor. Totally had suspected that the camshaft had eaten this gear. Focus. There we go. Wasn't far from it. That's a pretty serious problem for these 360s, especially when the engine gets some miles on it. You don't keep the oil changed enough. The distributor gets hard to turn. That gear is made out of a softer material, so what happens is the restriction between the distributor being hard to turn, especially at higher RPMs, cruising down the road, because these things run probably around 2,500 RPMs at highway speeds because of the gearing. And then that also drives the oil pump. So there's a lot of and when it's cold, even more restriction because the oil's hard to move. Usually ends up stripping the gear on the distributor, and then all those metal particulates fall right down on top of where the oil pump is, the timing chain, it just gets all mixed up in the oil. And there is a bypass in where the oil filter screws on, so you're getting metal in your engine. It does not filter 100% of the oil through that filter. It just doesn't. So pretty much 90% of the time it destroys the engine when that happens. So I guess what I'm trying to say is keep your oil changed, and that kind of stuff won't happen. But or it's less likely to happen. It doesn't mean it won't. But anyway, interesting fact. 4-barrel. And I don't know if that's factory. I think it is. It looks factory. I'd have to go back through the history books of Jeep Grand Wagoneers and see what was and what wasn't in this era of truck. It probably was factory. It looks, like it's been worked on. Of course, that might even be a reman, but still, I find that interesting. They've definitely had ignition issues. Somebody had put a new cap and rotor, plug wires, new spark plugs. Still couldn't get it to run. Having fuel issues, which is, oh my word, I can't even tell you how tremendously bad these things are about fuel tank issues and lines rotting in two on the frame, and then it just sucks air and it'll run for a little while and it'll cut off, and yeah, anyway, real nightmare for people. I fixed a bunch of them. But anyway, this one's going to be fuel injection, so probably the only thing that'll get reused down there is the return line to send return fuel back to the tank. The feed line will not be reused. I usually run a whole new line from the tank up because it's high pressure, because I mount the pump back there on the frame right at the tank. Double filtered inlet and then filter up to the front so the injectors don't get garbage in them, because these tanks are notorious for having rust and whatnot in them from the sending unit destroying itself with condensation and whatnot. So anyway, yeah, we're moving slowly. Not in a big hurry at this moment. The big thing was getting it in here today. That was a challenge. Hello folks. Well, here you go. About an hour maybe. It's ready to come out. Gotta put it on the lift and unbolt the exhaust, pull it down out of the way in the torque converter, and 2 more bell housing bolts, and she's out of there. So these old trucks are not hard to work on, that's for sure. I had a friend actually help me pull the hood off too. It's sitting over there. So one more little journey.